Good afternoon, everybody. It is 3:37 p.m. Mountain Time on Wednesday, May 19th. And, well, hopefully a good afternoon. It has not been a good afternoon for Bitcoin. It has not been a good morning or a night before either. If you've been watching it, you'd see that it's a pretty hard fall here. And what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about, number one, what happened with Bitcoin today, what happened in the past. Number two, I want to talk about what's happening with Bitcoin and what we're watching and then what I'd like to see happen in the future in order to move back up, which isn't looking too likely. Anyways, if you could, before we get started, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it greatly. Other than that, just remember, this is not anything to be considered financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Anything discussed today in this video is to be considered entertainment, informational, and educational purposes only. I am just a trader, and I just have my opinions. Anyways, we've been watching this 200-day moving average for about a month now, if not longer, maybe a month and a half. And it was, we're up at like 57, 58,000 when we started showing weakness, and we said, hey, it may not happen, but it's important to know that it could and to be prepared when it does. Well, this exceeded all my expectations because, it just would not bounce off this 200-day moving average, and then we came down like 22% below it. That's pretty brutal. Now, 30,000 was a target that some people had talked about. And my thinking was, well, if we reach 30,000, why wouldn't we just continue to come down and fill this gap and maybe even this gap? And I'm not saying that it's going to, but it's important to be aware that it can, just like it was important to be aware that we can come down to and pretty much crash through hard the 200-day moving average. This gap on the futures chart at 23,795, and then this tiny one down here at 18,460. Again, not saying that it's going to happen, but important to know that it could. Just want to remind you to manage your risk, just like always. Gap here at 48,370, overhead gap still at 60,165, which we came close to filling at 59,900. So just a little gap, just a little guy up there. But that's what I'm using to watch on the futures chart. We did bounce off the 200-day moving average on the futures chart. So little different than the price of Bitcoin. Now, a lot of people getting excited about the Bitcoin dominance chart. Why? Because we took a little bounce. So number one, I think Bitcoin is the only one you should really be watching right now. I think alts are beyond cooling off, but we had some monster runs. You could see the strength of alts caused the Bitcoin dominance to come down because while alts were going up, not only was Bitcoin staying still, but it was coming down, and we took a monster altcoin run. And as you can see from the prices of altcoins, which I'll go over shortly, and why I think that Bitcoin is the one to watch right now, you'll see that as they go up at higher percentages than Bitcoin, and so they come down at higher percentages than Bitcoin. So back in the day, 2017-18, we saw January 14th that low just below 36%, and through mid-September ran to over 61%. So let's see what the price of Bitcoin did back then and why I'm not super optimistic about the price of Bitcoin being, it's going to go up because the dominance is changing. No. I don't think that at all. Could it? Yeah. But essentially, just to refresh, Bitcoin dominance changes. So Bitcoin dominance will go down if altcoins remain steady and Bitcoin drops down. It'll come down if Bitcoin drops faster than altcoins drop. It'll come down if altcoins move up faster than Bitcoin does. So all those scenarios, there's a couple more out there, but you get the point. It's the relationship to altcoins. Anyways, January 14th, we saw a high of 14,332. And then when you get to mid-September, we saw a high of 65.65. Right? So you can see Bitcoin dominance went up like 67%, something like that. And the price dropped about 60%. So Bitcoin dominance doesn't mean that the price of Bitcoin is going up. Bitcoin dominance, don't be confused. Pretty much for me, what I use it for is I use that along with the total market cap minus Bitcoin to determine if the altcoin market is looking strong. And then that gives me an idea of should I buy altcoins? And then I start to look into, if yes, which one should I buy? So strong altcoin market could be done. I think it's done. One to watch is Bitcoin. And I'm just going to scroll through these real quick. I'm going to talk about the trade that I mentioned in the last video, how that went and why... And I mentioned like something else that was worth looking into was Litecoin and how that did not work out at all. Anyways, looking at Bitcoin, we're down 9.73%. I'm going to tell you in a second here what I'm looking for. Ethereum down 24.5%. XRP down 28.6%. Litecoin 32%. Cardano 22%. Doge 27%. Matic 27%. Solana 31%. Ren 34%, Luna 33%, Aave 30%, and look at that, there's one that's green. TrueFi, never heard of it. Literally the only green one I could find on Binance. I use Binance to look at on my phone to kind of track the prices, even though I'm a U.S. resident and can't use Binance. Anyways, so up 18%. So not all negative today. Just wanted to share that. Never heard of it. Never heard of TrueFi. Gonna look into it, see why it's green. Bitcoin comes down, it's not going to matter anyways. It will give back its gains. So important to watch Bitcoin because look at, you're at a 9.5% loss while all these other ones are, 30%, and Bitcoin dominance is rising. Altcoin season may be over, maybe not. Just saying, this is for strength purposes, whatever strength you could grab out of what's happening today. This is showing the most. Anyways, so what happened? We dropped $13,500, a little under 25%, I believe that comes to. And doesn't look like we're going to finish this candle green. We got 2 hours and 15 minutes. Ultimately, that would be the best case scenario, is bounce all the way up and finish green. I, in personal experience, don't really see any immediate continuation unless the capitulation candle here finishes green. So that is nice to see, the strong bounce. We've bounced almost, what would that be, 30%? 30% bounce. $30,000, bounced $9,000. Phenomenal. The bad news about that is when we did reach 30,000, if you didn't have any orders placed, you weren't getting filled because all the exchanges crashed, every single one of them. It was up about 20% before you were able to buy. Now, I didn't buy any Bitcoin. I bought XRP. It was good to finish on a win. I bought at 109 when the time we were able to. It got to 124. I said, that's it. Everything's still not, showing that this is over. I'm good with that. And altcoins generally are giving back their Bitcoin prices, giving it back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been steady for a while. It's given altcoins a chance. If we are to bounce, maybe, just maybe, Bitcoin is the only one to do that, and altcoins kind of remain, maybe show smaller bounces, and Bitcoin gains back some dominance. That would be optimal scenario on best case scenario basis. Unfortunately, I don't think we're out of the woods yet. Definitely don't think we're out of the woods yet. We still have high sell volume, still red on the day by 10%, and we dropped below the 200-day moving average by 25% almost. 200-day moving average is 39,818.98. We dropped to 30,000. It's like 24.5%. That is significantly below the 200-day moving average. So I'm not convinced that this is over yet. I wouldn't say I'm pessimistic. I'm just not optimistic. What I would want to see is at least a close over the 200-day moving average. And I'm not saying that it has to. That's what I want to see. And that wouldn't even necessarily mean that I would buy. But that is a strong support level that just got broken hard. And, I think like maybe, people, if you're not buying now, you're not buying, so everybody's bought. Who knows? Close above the 200 would be nice, but if we close red, which is looking extremely likely, almost guaranteed. Nothing's a guarantee, but we only have a little over 2 hours left, and we have to get to over 42,857. to close green, which did we get over that? We got over that today. So nice bounce today on that. We want to do kind of watch the next couple days, right? I want to watch the next couple days and see what it does. If we finish even in the upper third of this candle, we want to see a green close tomorrow with higher than average volume, and we definitely want to close over the 200-day moving average. And I'm hoping for that, but I don't make trades based off of hope. I try and make the best decision possible, but if we close red, I could see it chopping around for a couple days still, even below the 200-day moving average before coming up again, should it show some strength and recovery and start moving up again. Doesn't look that way to me. Don't base buys, especially in a downtrend, off of low RSI. Oversold RSI can keep coming down longer than you think, longer than you can imagine. But that's what I'm watching. Still relatively not optimistic. So that's the main thing I wanted to talk about today, is the price of Bitcoin and how altcoins are just looking much worse than Bitcoin. And that's why the dominance has gone up, is because not that Bitcoin's rising, but altcoins are dropping faster than Bitcoin by more percentage. So to go over the trade you mentioned in the last video yesterday, I got in when I saw this rising volume here in the 130s, 136 to be exact. I like that, was showing strength within consolidation after bouncing off of the low end of the off of the trend line in the pennant. My expectation or my plan was on the breakout buy. If it comes up and retests, make one more buy. And it never got to the point where I was ready to buy it on the breakout. I like to do it a little higher. So I got lucky there, I guess, that I didn't have it set right above there. And then we retested it and didn't get it. So we did come down to $1.361, so 1.361. I had my stop loss slightly below there, but I was seeing Bitcoin's weakness. I sold for a loss a little above there. Wasn't willing to ride it out through what could be a disaster. And when I saw it hold 1.361, bought a little above that, thinking I was a genius, saying, "Oh man, here we go. We're still in this consolidation range, and we're still in an uptrend." And then I set my stop loss again right below there, and when I went to sleep, it hit. And fortunately, I didn't ride it all the way down to 110, where it first bounced, and then it rode down to 85 cents. And at that point, you couldn't buy because the exchanges were down. So again, not really anything. I mean, if we get back into this range, that'd be something I might look at, but it's not looking likely. And it's looking more like we may chop down to the 200-day moving average. Anyways, moving on, the secondary one that I mentioned was Litecoin. Just not really as confident with that one, but just another one to look at, just to bring a scenario into play. Bounce off the 50, move up, bounce off the 50, move up, bounce off the 50, move up, bounce off the 50, new 52-week high, bounce off the 50, new 52-week high. Here we are at the 50 again. It's a good risk-reward trade. Say we're above the 50, here's where my entry is. And then if we drop below, here's where my exit is. So hopefully you had your stop losses in place. I think I reminded a couple people, Bitcoin's still looking weak. Even though I felt like we were going to take a bounce off of the 42,000 mark, and as soon as we kind of broke out of this channel on the hourly and then came right back in, I was like, oh boy, that's not going to be good. Just every little pop was getting sold and or shorted, but so with Bitcoin looking weak, it's like, maybe make sure you have your stop loss in there, and came down 50%. Look at that. Look at the candles too, finishing in the lower half. XRP in the lower half of the candle, Ethereum's in the lower half of the candle. Probably want to see it. If you're looking into altcoins, you're going to watch these ones with the 50 in range of the 50-day moving average. Ethereum, you're going to want to close above there. Cardano is looking to close above there, so maybe a little strength. I'm not going to get into the Bitcoin price of Cardano, but something you're going to want to watch. Doge above the 50-day. Doge had a 100% bounce. Matic well above the 50-day, but things are still looking not so great, but still some ones that are worth looking into. Ren scares the crap out of me. I've never traded it just because it went down to below 2 cents here. It looks like they got their liquidity issues fixed since the volume was high, and they didn't have that happen again. But still, down 33%. Luna, one I thought might be willing to watch into. You have this flag here, this long flag, and the resistance of the 50-day. If we could have broken out of that, might have been a good one to be in. Ave holding above the 50-day. And then I'm going to look into this a little more. I don't know why it's up, but it's looking like it's giving it back. And if Bitcoin comes down, it definitely will give it back. So that's what I wanted to look into with Bitcoin. Not necessarily trying to scare you, but just be realistic on what to look for to the upside, what to look for to the downside, that it can come down further. My first big bubble was 2013-14 marijuana penny stocks, and same thing happened. It's like all of a sudden, everybody started posting, they find out about it, it gets on CNBC, stuff like that, and, people are like, oh man, marijuana stocks, like, yeah, good investment, blah, 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 blah. Same thing happened with the Canadian ones in 2016, when they realized everybody starts talking about it, they get into it, and they start telling their friends on Facebook about it, if you're old like me and still use Facebook. Anyways, same thing happened. All of a sudden I see people who have never seen mention a stock before in their life or anything like that, or anything related to cryptocurrency, saying, oh, Dogecoin, get in now. It's looking good. It's going to the moon. It's like, okay, this is time to be. It was right around this time. But same thing happened. Electric vehicles, I know was mentioned. Same thing. I mean, I haven't really paid attention since NEO was in the 60s, and never really made anything significant on Tesla, just traded it because I never really trusted Elon and anything like that. Anyways, just something to keep in the back of your head. I mean, looking at the weekly, still a lot of room down. It held above the 50-day weekly moving average, or the 50-week moving average, and that's something. But we broke support, and we still haven't come down to other support levels. Oh, maybe we did. Yeah, just hard to see with such few candles on the weekly chart, but I like to always look at the weekly chart. And yeah, we had this candle on January 11th, week of January 11th, low of 30,100, so we actually dipped the hair below that to 30,000 and bounced there. So don't know why we didn't come down to here, but I don't know why we didn't come down to 50. Maybe people got overzealous, or they're just like, it's time. And but 200-day moving average is still all the way down at 12,534. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could come down here and set up a weekly head and shoulders pattern. Who knows? Still waiting to see something. For me to commit into something a little longer term, still waiting to see something, some sign of strength. We just haven't seen it especially in the last couple weeks, last few weeks really. Even though we saw these weekly candles with rising volume, still it never got back above resistance. Anyways, that's what I want to leave you with today. Watching Bitcoin, as I mentioned before, Bitcoin kind of controls the whole market. What Bitcoin goes up, that gives opportunity for altcoins. Bitcoin comes down, that gives opportunity for altcoins to come down. As you can see, we saw those 1,000% gains in some of these altcoins, some of them more. Shiba Inu went up like 20,000%, just a meme coin that really does nothing. It's worse, it serves less purpose than Doge at the moment. You see they come down harder. We're at negative 9% on Bitcoin, and we're still at the negative 30s in some of these. Solana was a really strong one, and just, came down 50, 60% on some of these. Anyways, I want to leave you with that. I wanted to do a video today just because there's a lot happening. Wanted to follow up that not really, being overly aggressive here, still being cautious. I think that's important. I think like any trades that I'm in, I will sell at resistance levels, and I'll wait to see how they react to maybe get back in any trades. So it's just kind of more in and out, nothing long term for me. I know some people have started building positions, and if you have the strategy of you're buying your way down every $5,000 or $10,000 on Bitcoin, then this probably doesn't apply to you as much because you're in it for the long term, and you're just averaging your position down. So Bitcoin, I don't think is going anywhere in the future. I think that the tech side is really cool, and I used to say 95% are junk and self-serving, but maybe a little less than that because I've looked into some more that serve some cool purposes, but a lot of them wouldn't exist unless like a couple of these other exist that exist only because of Bitcoin, or Ethereum even. Ethereum, I shouldn't include that in there. But anyways, that's what I'm looking at. I think, it's important to be smart to manage your risk. Like, however good or bad of a trader you feel like you are, follow through with your strategy, your plan, and manage your risk. Just follow through with that, especially as traders. You saw took a 25% drop in Bitcoin, 50 to 60% drop in altcoins, so it could happen like that. That's pretty scary. Have your stop losses in place. That's all there is to it. Anyways, leave you with that. Have a great day, and be safe. Trade safe. Bye.